The Galaxy Edge series included some of Samsung's most successful smartphones. Along with their powerful specs at the time, these phones featured what a lot of people, including myself, consider to be excellent design. Examples include the Galaxy S7 Edge series, which some people would argue was the peak of Samsung design. Samsung eventually dropped the Edge naming, but kept what it was associated with, which was curved displays. This was the case for a while until they also dropped the curved displays and went back to flat displays. But recently, as part of the Galaxy S25 lineup, Samsung announced a Galaxy S25 Edge, which some people found surprising. With its release expected to be around April or May, it seems like this might well be the grand return of the Galaxy Edge series. In this video, we're going to go over what we might know about the Galaxy S25 Edge at this stage. Alright, so with the return of the Edge naming, many of us might be wondering whether that also means that Samsung will be bringing back the curved display design. If you're a fan of curved displays, I'm afraid I might have some bad news. Even though Samsung is bringing back the Edge naming, it doesn't look like the Galaxy S25 Edge will have a curved display. Instead, it will likely feature a flat display similar to the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup. In terms of the rest of the design, this device is expected to be quite thin compared to the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup. Now, there are different supposed measurements depending on the source, with some suggesting that the Galaxy S25 Edge might measure around 6.4mm in thickness, while others are saying it'll be thinner than that, at approximately 5.8mm. Either way, both of these are quite thinner than the thinnest device that is part of the lineup, which is the Galaxy S25. A potential challenge with thinner phones is the battery. It's much easier to work with thinner models when you have more space, as is the case of laptops and tablets. But with a unique form factor like the one predicted for the Galaxy S25 Edge, it's going to be interesting to see how Samsung will address this challenge. This is something I discussed in one of my earlier videos, in which I explored Apple's next generation of iPhones. Specifically, it seems like Apple's iPhone Air or iPhone 17 Air, whatever they end up calling it, will be the Apple equivalent of the Galaxy S25 Edge. With that being said, we will talk more about the Galaxy S25 Edge's battery later in the video. Now, in terms of the display, it looks like Samsung will equip the Galaxy S25 Edge with either a 6.7 or 6.8 inch display, so that would be around the same size as the Galaxy S25 Plus. It's expected to have a 1080p display with a tall aspect ratio, so more specifically, that would be a resolution of either 2340 by 1080 or 2400 by 1080, and a 19.5:9 or 20:9 aspect ratio. This would be around the same as the standard Galaxy S25, but with a slightly lower pixel density. So 416 pixels per inch for the standard Galaxy S25, but a slightly lower 393 pixels per inch for the Galaxy S25 Edge. This might translate into a slightly lower quality display compared to the Galaxy S25, but a significantly lower display quality compared to the Galaxy S25 Plus and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which have a much higher resolution and pixel density. With that being said, there is one positive aspect about the Galaxy S25 Edge's display, and that's refresh rate. The Galaxy S25 Edge is expected to match the rest of the lineup with a 120Hz refresh rate, so despite the lower quality display, it'll still be smooth. When it comes to the CPU, the Galaxy S25 Edge is expected to house the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the exact same chipset as the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup, so from a CPU perspective, it seems like we will be getting a similar level of performance as the rest of the lineup. On the other hand, the exact amount of RAM that might be included in the Galaxy S25 Edge seems to be a bit more ambiguous, with some sources suggesting 12GB of RAM, which is the same amount as the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup, whereas other sources say that the amount of RAM will depend on the storage options. So the 128 and 256GB models would feature 8GB of RAM, whereas 12GB of RAM would be reserved for the 512GB model. When it comes to the rear camera setup, the Galaxy S25 Edge will likely be equipped with the least capable cameras compared to the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup. So we know that the S25 and the S25 Plus both have 3 cameras, a wide lens, an ultra-wide lens, and a telephoto lens. The S25 Ultra also features an additional periscope telephoto camera. Now, when it comes to the Galaxy S25 Edge, I did say that it will probably have the least capable cameras, but I'm referring to the camera setup as a whole rather than the individual lenses. So the wide lens is actually expected to match that of the Galaxy S25 Ultra at 200 megapixels with a similar aperture. The Galaxy S25 Edge might also feature an ultra-wide lens, which might either be 12 megapixels or 50 megapixels. Another thing to add is that the S25 Edge's camera might offer video recording capacity of up to 8K 30, allowing for very high quality at a reasonable frame rate. So as you can see, we seem to be missing a telephoto lens, which can imply that the Galaxy S25 Edge may not be capable of optical zoom. When it comes to the front camera, that might be a 10 megapixel sensor, which is a little less than a 12 megapixel sensor found in the rest of the Galaxy S25 lineup. Of course, the aperture may be similar and the front camera will likely be capable of video recording up to 4K 60. Okay, now earlier in this video I said that we will talk a bit more about the battery inside the Galaxy S25 Edge. So to start off, the fact that this phone will be quite thin will limit the size of the battery that Samsung can include in this phone. There have been suggestions that this phone will have a battery with a capacity somewhere around 3900 mAh or 4000 mAh, which will be around the same capacity as that of the regular Galaxy S25. Now you can tell the potential problem with this if you look at the regular Galaxy S25, which also has a 4000 mAh battery. Wait, but the Galaxy S25 has a 6.2-inch display, whereas the Galaxy S25 Edge is expected to have a 6.7 or 6.8-inch display. Oh, so that's the potential problem. The possibility of having the same size battery of a phone with a 6.2-inch display in a phone with a 6.7 or 6.8-inch display might be concerning because that might actually translate into less battery life. With that being said, it's definitely reasonable to expect that Samsung are aware of this and will try to figure out a way to make it so that the Galaxy S25 Edge offers good battery life, despite the smaller battery. So that will likely be through good optimization. It's definitely going to be interesting to see whether they're going to be able to achieve that, especially since Samsung have traditionally included larger batteries in their phones, as opposed to a company like Apple, which has typically included smaller batteries but was able to make it work with good optimization, especially in more recent years. But what do you think about the Galaxy S25 Edge? Does the information we know about it so far meet your expectations? Or do you think it might turn out to be a disappointment? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, so feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. And feel free to let me know in the comments if there is anything tech that you're interested in and want me to make a video about. In the next video, we're going to discuss Apple's transition to their very own cellular modems. Make sure to tune in for that because it's going to be very interesting. Also, please consider supporting me by donating to my channel through buymeacoffee.com. I would really appreciate any support as I continue to bring fun and interesting content like this, only if you can of course, link down below. This was the Wizard of Tech, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.